Well, hello, and thanks for joining us. Greg Earney here, joining me, Justin Ross. Mate,
G'day.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're coming to you live from the Moo Bar, a very popular coffee shop in the heart of Moo Bar. So, mate, what a month! Well, what a really a massive start to the year.
Yeah, look, it's been great. We were expecting a little bit of a lull coming off such a big 2015, but the first 2 months has just been incredible.
It hasn't happened, has it? I mean, December was huge, and as many people we've spoken to, but December was actually our highest ever sales month the company's ever had. So incredible. I think we did, was it 22 sales between basically over that week of that festive season. It was incredible, from the 22nd of December to the 3rd of January.
Yeah, it was great, and I believe the rental team also let another 20 properties in that time, so there were just people everywhere. Over that period.
Yeah, I think Brent at our Croydon office looks after the rentals there. He had opens on the 2nd of January, and he thought, he'll open up, and he was amazed the amount of people that were out. So great to see the momentum kicking along. We had our State of the Market information night at the York on Lilydale last Thursday. How many people? We had a lot turn up.
Yeah, look, it was a full house. I think we get more people there every time we do it.
Yeah.
So look, if you do see that one come out, we're having another one later in the year.
Later in the year.
So feel free to come along. They're a great night, and the feedback's been brilliant. Be able to get a lot of market information out to people. So the response has been great.
Yeah. So I thought what we might do today is just go through some of the main things that we covered on the night. And Brent, my brother, obviously. He spoke on the residential rentals side of things, and I think the message that came out of that is that demand is still strong. There's still plenty of tenants out there. Brent was saying our occupancy rate is sitting at 99%, and I think the vacancy rate for Melbourne, or in the inner city and out through to this way, is about 3%, and as a company we're hovering just over 0.5% vacancy rate, so still good demand. And I think the other thing that was interesting was that while demand is still good, the rents are probably still sitting about the same. They haven't seen as much rental growth, and that's probably due to still a large number of new rental properties coming on the market. Yeah.
Also, I suppose to go along with that is that landlords have a great choice of tenants. So
yep.
Every property that goes on the market is getting a lot of applicants, and you can really choose the right tenant for your property.
Correct. We also had Russell Bartlett. Russell's our commercial and industrial manager. He's been with us for 25 years, and mate, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what he had to say?
Sure. Look, it was a bit of an eye-opener. I don't think a lot of investors out there are looking at commercial and industrial properties. So
it's probably a bit new for a lot of people. A lot of people, mate, if they've got investment properties, will have residential, but not as many people are into shops and factories and those sort of things, are they? So it was, as you say, a bit of an eye-opener for some people. I think the interesting thing, Juz, that that really highlighted to me is that while residential property and rent over the last sort of 2-3 years has seen growth, commercial has had a little bit of growth, but not near anywhere near what we've seen in the last 12 months. So still good, and probably business is still okay, but it was just an interesting thing in terms of that. And obviously there's positives and negatives and associated in terms of having a commercial property over a residential. But I think those that attended, and certainly the feedback was as you put it, was a bit of an eye-opener as just what's about commercial.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mate, the sales side has been kicking along, hasn't it? I mean, 2015, unbelievable market. I mean, in our area out here, we've never seen a boom like what we've experienced. And just to go through and some of the things that as a company, the Methven Group, we averaged over 2 sales per day every day for 2015. That's remarkable.
It's a lot, yes.
And it's we got to, without saying how good the team is, but it's a fantastic effort by all of the team to achieve what they did. But mate, do you want to just step us through some of the suburbs and private sales and auctions and just what's happening amongst all of that?
Absolutely. Look, 2015 was a great year, and now that we've ticked over to 2016, it's been a great chance for us to take stock as to what exactly happened last year. It was a bit of a blur while it was happening, but some of the key stats that we've looked at is just how many sales that we've made, and one of the things that we really wanted to look at was I suppose the process in which they were sold. So in 2014 we noticed that the number of private sales that we were doing was very, very high as opposed to auction. In Moo Bar, the auctions were only happening at a rate of 3.5% of all the properties that we sold actually went to auction.
So to put that in perspective, mate, I think it was about 355 properties in 2014 was sold private sale, and it was only a handful, about 14, that sold at auction.
Yep.
And I think for 2015 just gone, it was similar sort of numbers, I think, wasn't it?
Well, it was an increase. It is something that's starting to happen more out in sort of your Moo Bar, Lilydale, Kilsyth areas.
Yep.
Croydon's seen a lot of auctions. So in 2014, 22% of properties were auctioned in Croydon.
Yes.
And in 2015, it was 31%.
Correct.
So it's becoming a real option for people. Whereas in Moo Bar, it went from 2014 at 3.5% to in 2015 6.2%.
Yep.
So there is a growth, but it is still very much a private sale.
Seems to be the preferred way, doesn't it?
Definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So, and for just quickly for Mount Evelyn, it was only a handful. There was 9 auctions in Mount Evelyn for 2015, and for Lilydale, even less. There was 8 auctions for out of all the properties that were sold. So that was interesting. And just quickly, the median sale prices. That was the other area, obviously due to a massive market. Just to run through there. Croydon, what did we have? It went up from 570,000 or thereabouts up to 670, and Moo Bar was 480 up to 599. Lilydale was 489 up to 602, and Mount Evelyn 467 up to 540,000. So pretty substantial growth in each spot.
Yeah, I think you'd be pretty happy if you were holding property in any of those suburbs.
Absolutely, pretty tough for buyers out though.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition for property, and that's reflected in the price increases pretty much across the board.
Interesting, as a company, the Methven Group, we averaged about 1,500 buyer inspections per month. So that was down marginally. It was about, the first half of the year was just over 1,600, but 1,500 is massive. When I go through our figures over the last 5 to 7 years, as a company we've probably averaged 700 to 800. So it just shows how strong this market is. And our average days on market for the second half of the year was coming in at, I think it was 24 days.
24 days. I think if you went back a couple of years ago, it was probably hovering between 45 days and 60 days. So a campaign, you'd settle in for a good 4 to 8 week campaign. Now most properties are selling within 2 to 3 weeks, so that's a huge difference.
Huge. And the I guess probably just quickly summing up, what would you see as the major factors, mate, that are really impacting the market at the moment?
Well, look, obviously everyone knows interest rates are low, money's cheap, but look, I just think that it's been so strong for so long that the sheer number of buyers that are in the marketplace and the motivation of those buyers to lock something down, buy something, and a lot of them have missed out on properties. So when they do see the property that they like, they don't muck around.
No, they've got to jump on it, don't they?
Yeah,
They really got to jump on it, and that's probably one of the things we spoke about the other night. If you see the property, don't hesitate. Just do what you got to do to buy it. And I think the other thing is that land is as scarce as anything. You just really can't get any land, and even I think, not that we sold it, but I think the recent development up at the Pinnacle up near Chirnside Park on Maroondah Highway, that set a new benchmark for land sales. There were blocks there selling, I think, basically from 440 odd thousand up to, I think the highest was 615 for a quarter acre block, or about 800 square metre block. We just sold a half acre block in Bellbird Drive in Lilydale, 900,000. And that, it was probably the best block in Lilydale, and overlooking Lilydale Lake or nearby. And
definitely sold in a week.
Yeah,
had
huge
200
demand.
bidders. that weren't that far off the mark either. So you know, that wasn't just a one-off. We probably could have sold that a dozen times in a week.
Spot on, and even the little backyards that are being subdivided, you know, they're almost 297,000 we just sold a backyard for just prior to Christmas. So, you know, new benchmark, basically your backyard. If anyone's thinking of subdividing, talk to us, because you could have $300,000 in your backyard. So, mate, I reckon we might, look, it was a great turnout. We had a huge response. We couldn't have asked for a better response, and for those that came, I think they all walked away a little bit better and get a great understanding of the local market. Mate, I think we've probably gone about 5 minutes over time today, but there was a lot to go through, and you know, 2016, it'll be an interesting market. I think the general thoughts out there is that things will continue on still at a real positive level, but maybe just taper back or just level out a little bit. You got anything further to add on that at all?
Look, I'd agree with that. We just don't know when that's going to happen. We probably thought it would already happen by now, but it might be the second half of the year at some stage that demand slows down. But at the moment, you know, with the number of inspections that we're doing and the buyer attitude that they have to lock a property away pretty quick.
Yeah. And there's still that shortage of land, isn't there? Like, or not land, but just property in general. Where everyone expected there'd be a huge influx of property coming on the market in Feb, but overall it hasn't really happened. So the old supply and demand, there's not as much supply, but the demand's still good, and that's what's going to keep our prices up. So, mate, beautiful. Thanks for enjoying it. We're going to enjoy a cup of coffee, and the Moo Bar is always a great spot to come and just have a bit of an R&R and relax for a few minutes and get away from it. So thanks for joining me today, mate.
My pleasure.
And we'll catch up again during the year. And look, if we can help you at all during 2016, any of our team at our 4 offices, naturally, we're always here and always available, and certainly would welcome your call. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.